Hi guys, I'm Aditya. I'm the founder and CEO at LocalOye. I don't really do too much work around here these days. My main job here is to make sure that people are running in the same direction and in the right direction. This is 2013. I had just left the previous startup where I was an early employee there. I was there for 2.5 years. This is the peak of e-commerce. May, June 2013, you had a vertical e-commerce player for everything. Groceries, lingerie, TV, Almira, everything online. But services were still very, very painful. To be honest, I don't really have a fancy story of the founder having a personal problem and then he going ahead and solving it. We just kind of very clearly recognize that services is still very, very unsolved. And if you take a step back and understand, right, people spend money only on two things. They either buy a product or they hire somebody to do a job for them. There's an Amazon and Flipkart for the first part. There is nobody for the second part, and that's what you want to own. And that's why LocalOye exists. I keep telling my team this. I think the biggest problem with India right now is a lot of smart people. 90% of them either build softwares for clients in the US or they're busy building photo sharing app. Agriculture is out of, it's just very inefficient. There are very few people who are solving real life problems, and I think LocalOye is lucky to be in one of those places. It's our bit to make sure that service professionals out there can live a much better life by getting more customers. They all survive on 20 to 25% fill rate right now. Like if an electrician or a yoga instructor can possibly have 100 customers in a month, he has around 20 to 25. It's a huge mismatch of the right connections. And of course, if you look at it from a customer's point of view, we save a lot of their time, we make their life much more easier and simpler. You know how LinkedIn has a professional graph, Facebook has a social graph, WhatsApp has a phone graph. We as a company have the potential to build the world's first ever local graph. We know what your hobbies are, we know where do you go, we know what kind of person are you. Are you a person who takes care of your home, or are you a person who goes out and does adventure activities? Do you do a lot of hobbies? Do you take care of your health? So all these, people go to Google and say yoga instructors in Koramangala, but people come to LocalOye and say that yoga instructors in Koramangala at this much budget. I want to do it because I want to stay fit. I know your life goals. I know your wallet size. What we can do with this amount of data is something which is literally a gold mine, and that's what we're moving towards. Our recommendation engine, our rule engines is slowly building on top of this data, and I think it's going to be a really, really fun, the next 4 or 5 years where we get to play around with this and potentially become a much more smarter platform. I think goes back to that original question itself, how's LocalOye changing the world? If leaving a legacy or being part of something which has never been done before, nothing against people like Flipkart, Snapdeal, but they at least had a blueprint of how e-commerce works because it's already been done in the US, right? We don't have anyone to look at. We do not know a case study out there which says that, hey, this is how you crack services. If this is something that excites you, one which is, hopefully putting a small effort into changing the world and, making lives simpler. Second, leaving a legacy in terms of, hey, nobody had done this before, but we were a bunch of people who came together and solved this. If this is something that excites you. Second. Third, I think that's true for any early stage startup that's growing really fast. 2 months ago, we were 25 people. Right now, we are, 175. We'll soon be, crossing 300, 500. If being part of something early and being part of, of the decision making excites you, and I think LocalOye is one of the best places you can be at right now. I'm usually not the smartest person in the room. I think I'm surrounded by people who are way, way more smarter than me. I think one trick which works really well for me is I haven't really given up. We almost died a lot of times. I got right out of college, worked at a MNC for 2 months, did a startup, failed, joined an early stage company as a first employee, was there for 2.5 years, then did LocalOye. I think the only trick that is working for me, and I want to keep doing that, is not really giving up. I think perseverance is really what matters, and what I've seen in the startup world is, and you will also see it once you kind of sit down and look at the patterns. It depends on how many times you've been slapped around by this evil world. With every slap, your probability of winning increases. I think that's what makes me super. So come join LocalOye and stay super.